Hello there, crafty friends. It's Alicia of the Call Me Crafty YouTube channel, and I am back today to show you how I created my very first set of cards using the July 2019 SheetLoad of Cards. I hope you'll stick around, see what I create, and find out how to get the free printable for yourself. Thanks so much for stopping by today. If this is your first time to my channel, I hope by the end of this video that you'll be inspired to click on subscribe and maybe even tap that bell for notifications. If you're already a regular viewer and subscriber, welcome back. You know that I appreciate you being here. In yesterday's video, I shared with you a look at the new SheetLoad of Cards for July 2019 and shared with you the card set that I made. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I made that card set. And then at the end of the video, I'll let you know how to get the free printable for yourself if you're a subscriber to my channel. For the supplies this month, we're going to need 2 12x12 pattern papers, 4 solid cardstocks, and those are going to be what go on the front of the card. And then for the card bases, you'll need 6 solid cardstocks that you cut and fold into standard A2 card bases. Just like last month, we will be making 12 cards again this month. I have the dimensions here for each of the individual pieces in case you don't want to make a sheet load, if you just want to make one card. And then on the back, I have the cutting guides. So once I share with you the supplies I'll be using today, we will start doing the cutting. For my pattern papers, I have chosen 2 pieces from the Happy Day stack. I have this pastel floral, and each of the centers of the flowers are gold foil. And then I got out this pink and white pattern paper. I just thought those looked nice together. For my CS2, which will actually be where the image or the sentiment goes, I just got out a piece of regular white cardstock. For my card bases, I have 6 pieces of heavyweight white cardstock. I just get mine at Hobby Lobby when I can get it for 40 or 50% off. And then finally, I have 3 pieces of gold foil paper. Now this does call for 3 pieces of cardstock, but the way that this will be used, it actually doesn't matter if it's a little bit thinner. Now the reason I'm not going to pull these out and show them to you is because that gold paper sometimes messes with the lighting, and it might be right now. When I cut this later, I will actually cut it face down, but I wanted you to get a little look at what those sheets are like. And the other main supply that I'll be using today are some stamp sets from Cornish Heritage Farms. These are no longer in production that I know of. I will look online and see if I can find them, but you can pick out any stamp set that you want. I just really liked the sentiments in these. I have the Friend Center set, so they're all about friendship. And then I also have the motivational centers. I just liked that there were lots of different sayings, and they come in lots of different widths, so I'll be able to choose different ones that fit on my white piece of cardstock. If I pull out any different supplies in the video, I will try to remember to share those with you during the voiceover. So speaking of voiceover, once I start the process, I will start doing a voiceover. If I do not answer any questions that you might have, make sure to leave those in the comments section below, and I'll get back to you just as soon as I can. Let's make a sheet load of cards. Off camera, I did go ahead and cut and fold my card bases. The first piece I'm going to cut is pattern paper number 1. This will be cut into 24 pieces that are 1 inch wide by 5.5 inches tall. After I cut my paper into 2 pieces that were 5.5 inches tall, I then stacked those on top of each other and cut them at 1 inch wide. You'll see that I started at the 12-inch mark and then just kept moving over 1 inch. This avoided me having to line up the paper on the 1 inch line every time, because you know that one's a little tricky to get your fingers under the guides. Next up, I'm going to cut pattern paper number 2 into 12 pieces that are 2.5 inches wide by 4 inches tall. Once I'm done with that, you'll see that I actually cut these into smaller pieces. To make the most of my paper, and because the split between these two pieces will be covered by another layer, I will be cutting these pink pieces into two pieces. The top one will be 2.5 inches wide by 1.25 inches tall, and that leaves the bottom at 2.5 inches wide by 2.75 inches tall. Each of my CS1A sheets will be cut into 6 pieces that are 2.75 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall. Again, I am cutting this upside down just so that gold foil doesn't mess with the camera lighting. My last sheet of gold foil paper is CS1B, and that will be cut into 12 pieces that are 2.75 inches wide by 2 inches tall. And finally, I will cut my one piece of white cardstock, which will be CS2, into 12 pieces that are 2.75 inches wide by 1.75 inches tall. And now it is time to start putting the cards together. The first step will be to put the two pieces of PP1 on each side of the card front. And just like with pattern paper number 2, the split between these two pieces will be covered up, so this is just a great way to make the most of your paper. The next thing I did was put CS2 on top of the CS1B mat. You'll see here that it is just centered top to bottom, and then the white piece fills the space from left to right. The next step was to get pattern paper number 2 put onto the tall gold foil strip. You'll notice here that I put the smaller piece aligned to the top and the taller piece aligned at the bottom of that gold strip. That space in the middle again will be covered up. I chose to adhere my tall gold strip to the card front just straight down. You could easily adhere this with foam tape as well if you wanted some extra dimension. Before I can get the last piece put onto the card front, I need to do my stamping. For my sentiments today, I'm going to be stamping those in Versamark, and then I will be heat embossing with some Stampendous Pirate Gold embossing powder. This powder, it's not a real shiny gold, it just looks really nice with the pattern paper and that gold foil. For the stamps, I chose 6 from the friendship centers and 6 from the motivational centers that fit onto the white piece of cardstock. Another product I pulled out was my embossing buddy. I will just rub this on top of the cardstock before I stamp. That way the embossing powder should only stick to the ink. I did forget to use it on a couple of the cardstocks, and I did have dots of embossing powder that stuck in other places that weren't necessarily supposed to be there, but it was no big deal. I just made it work. If you have never heard of an embossing buddy and you want to check it out, I do actually have it linked below. I put it in my Amazon storefront. It is definitely one of my favorite tools. I just continued to stamp and heat emboss my sentiments. The ones that I did off camera, I would actually stamp 5 or 6 at a time and then heat emboss them all at once. But just so you could see what to do, I did these few on camera one at a time. I did discover that I definitely need to invest in tweezers. I actually thought I already had some, but I definitely wanted something to hold this paper a little bit farther out of my hands because that heat gun gets warm. And here's a look at all of the stamped sentiments. You'll notice that all of them but one were stamped horizontally. I did have one sentiment that I wanted to use that looked better portrait, so that was a super quick fix. I will just turn the card to the side when I adhere my sentiment. Speaking of adhering the sentiments, that will be almost the last step in creating these cards. I could totally stop here, but I decided these cards needed a little something else. So I pulled out some green gems and I'm going to put 3 in the top left corner of each of the cards. Originally, the cards that I set aside to the right, I was not going to put any gems on because the sentiment filled the space. But once I had the ones on the left done with the 3 gems, I decided to go ahead and put some on those right ones as well. And you'll see those here in just a little bit. I hope you liked that look at how I created my first set of cards using the July sheet load of cards. If you did, as always, I appreciate a thumbs up. If you would like to download the sheet load and use it for yourself, I have linked it all the way in the bottom of my description box. I do ask that you are a subscriber of mine, and we just go on the honor system here, so if you're a subscriber, feel free to download it and use it. And if you do use it, I would love to see what you make. So I have also linked the Show Us Your Sheet Load kind of announcement or instruction video in the description box. And that video will give you the instructions on how you can submit it to me, whether it is via email, a video here on YouTube, or Instagram. And if you would like to be included in the end of the month viewer submission video, make sure that you either email or post that video or those photos by the 25th of July. If you have any questions, leave those down below. I'll get back to you just as soon as I can. Until my next video, I hope you're having a crafty day. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching the entire video. I hope that you'll check out one of the videos that I have linked above, and if you're interested in any of the products that I used today in my video, I have linked what I could find in my description box below. Some of these links are affiliate links, which means I get a small percentage of the sale if you choose to use the link I give you. Thank you for your time and consideration.